Well, I did an interesting thing. About a month and a half ago, somebody here in these phantasmagorical debates pointed me to this video, a 2 hour video, series of videos, by a guy named Tom Campbell, who's an applied physicist with a theory about reality. Now, it's one of these theories I've argued with Cashify about, that it's just a virtual reality, and in some sense you can affect it. He's into focused intent. Okay, however, one of the good things I noticed in there was that he does not seem to be saying that we can escape the constraints of what I call materialism, right? Things still matter. They matter. Okay, so he thinks it's a VR and it's not there physically pre-existing in the way we think. It's more like a VR, but it doesn't mean you're going to sprout wings and fly. So your focused intent could make something possible happen, but it can't make something impossible happen. Okay, you don't sprout wings and fly, but when you trip and fall, you could use your willful intent to not hurt yourself, because it's possible not to hurt yourself when you fall. Okay, so anyway, things being what they are on the island, stuff comes, and turns out this guy's coming to the island. I get invited to a potluck, a dinner party there, a potluck dinner party. Does those words go together? Is that an oxymoron? Beautiful home overlooking the ocean, and Tom Campbell is there, about 25 people, and he's having an informal conversation with us. He talks for about an hour. We eat dinner. He talks for about an hour. We ask him questions for a couple hours. And I'll put a link to the guy's videos on YouTube. As I say, what I like about his system, first of all, it's very much like if the brain is a quantum computing device. I asked him about that. He is aware, he uses concepts of quantum physics and seems to understand quantum physics, but he hadn't seemed to have thought about the quantum computer, that's really what he was describing, which to me is kind of interesting, because if he didn't get these ideas from a quantum computer, then it's of interest that his deductions from science, including quantum theory, did arrive, soundly at these conclusions that are describe how a quantum computer would work. Now, the group of people is, they're nice people. These types of groups, they used to be nice people. You don't want to crush their expectations. It's difficult for me to talk to them for that reason, because there's just so much wishful thinking and so many people that want to be free from all the constraints. Now, as I said, he does not say that you're free from constraints. Still, people are talking about how they use their willpower to, avoid an accident and two cars pass through each other, or there's people there that are of the old, this group of people, this group big could make it rain or stop raining, and these kinds of things, which is sort of interesting, because why would you do that sort of thing as a parlor trick? Now, Tom Campbell seems to think that, okay, you can't leave a record of inconsistency, because this is some sort of a schoolhouse where we're learning, and you need to learn, you have to have consistent feedback. Okay, and yet he thinks if you're not recording, if no one's looking, with the quantum erasure kind of idea, you sort of can, do some magical visualization. And talking to him one-on-one, I could see he is very much about accepting these constraints as well. He's not trying to get out of the physical world. He just thinks that he's figured out that it's consciousness. And it could still be a material world with quantum mechanics playing some role in the brain, and then this focused intent does make a difference. That's what will is. Will is the ability for focused intent to actually affect things. He has an interesting idea, a nice metaphor from physics about entropy. Something that I've noticed that seems pretty deep, that life is the thing that reduces entropy. And he thinks that's the purpose of the universe and our evolution and our consciousness, is to reduce entropy. And he thinks in the macroscopic level that the equivalent of reduced entropy rather, not a Freudian slip, is love. that in a loving state there is a reduced entropy, and in a hateful state it's more chaotic and more like a high entropy situation. So that's kind of a beautiful metaphor. So the main problem I have, though, is that he does, he is talking about how you can cheat the constraints to a level and in a way that I don't think he particularly has a unhealthy attitude about it. But a lot of people on these spiritual journeys do have an unhealthy attitude. I consider it unhealthy to want to free yourself from all the constraints of reality. Many of the constraints are like bats and prisons, and fine, let's break free of those. Some constraints are like gravity, and it's a wonderful thing. Some constraints are like the conservation of energy, and it's a wonderful thing. These constraints are not negative. The constraint that we require oxygen and so on, these are not things that we need to cry at our non-existent gods about. We should merely figure out ways to accept them. So anyway, it was interesting. It's also interesting how you have these chances to run into people you might have heard of. He seemed like a smart guy of this kind of work. I think his is above par. In the end, I'm struck again, like I was bringing up before. Is this philosophy a self-help thing? If I write a book on philosophy, is it some sort of self-help thing? Because that's good. I want to help people, and I like that people want to help themselves. But there's a lot of wishful thinking, and it's like in a lot of these things some spiritual type person says something, it's kind of, interesting idea. People in the audience get up, they just say their own thing, just random thing, because they don't know how, it's so abstract, it's just permission for them to say their own abstract poetic thing. And then the guy up there talking has to go like, yeah, right, that's what I was talking about. It's just, this, it seems to me there's a lack of honesty in these kinds of situations. To me, if we're going to talk about the power of using your intent to make things happen, we can't just assume people are nice and have good ideas. I mean, people are saying, a group this big, we could start the weather. And why does he want to do that? For a party trick or something. I mean, if that's really true, why isn't he out there 24/7 in drought zones? We need rain. We're in the biggest drought zone right now, oddly enough. So what you got a room full of people told that you can just wish for things, and they're all sitting there wishing for things. Here's the thing. It's like your car is broken, and there's this idea that it's possible that it's fixed, that the hoses that was cracked, moved, and now it's sealed, and it's possible. So you visualize that to fix your car. But that's bullshit compared to the real way you use visualization to fix a car. I'll tell you how you do it. You want to use visualization? I can absolutely tell you how to use visualization to fix your broken car. First of all, visualize yourself going to the library, checking out a book on how to fix cars. Visualize yourself reading it. Visualize yourself borrowing some tools, going out to your car, working on it, and fixing your car. And you do that, it might take a little while. That's how you use visualization to fix your car. To use visualization where you just are going to sit at the breakfast table and go, oh, my car is fixed, that's too cheap. That's not how the magic power of visualization works. You see, we got this physics says everything should be deterministic. If your car's broke, it'll stay broke a million years. Okay? We defy that. We defy that by visualizing our body going and interacting with the car. Okay, those are the legit visualizations. If you visualize yourself doing something, okay, and it can even be imaginary, metaphorically, as you're going to sleep, fine, visualize working on the car while you dream, and visualize being able to fix it with magic dust, whatever. That could be a part of it. But in the end, it's your material self that your visualization allows you to bring into interaction with the car, and that's how you're going to solve these problems. You have to interact with the real world. And for people that are trying to say, well, I don't want to have to interact with it that way, I just want to wish it, that is unhealthy. It was hard to not give that feedback when I see that, as the emotional vibe of the situation. It's just, and it's ironic, because we're all trying to get some more enlightened knowledge or something, and we're like, how can I just live a life of wishes? If wishes were horses, beggars would ride, or whatever. Anyway. it was interesting. Cheers.